It's crucial to remember that our mental state is not fixed, and we can actively work to create a more positive inner world. We have the power to alter how we perceive things, leading to a more enjoyable life. Contrary to popular belief, our mental state is not set in stone after childhood or adolescence. We can always uproot negative and unrealistic beliefs and replace them with ones that improve our well-being and reduce stress. However, learning how to do this is challenging. In our daily lives, prioritizing qualities such as mental clarity, objectivity, rational thinking, and peace of mind can help us live a more purposeful, resilient, and less reactive life. These traits become even more critical during times of crisis, adversity, or chaos. If we lack the tools to manage our emotions and think critically, we become vulnerable to being led by the crowd and our impulses rather than charting our own course. Stoic philosophy offers a practical framework for cultivating a positive state of mind and serving as an anchor during times of chaos, preventing us from being swept up in the irrationality and frenzy of the crowd. Stoicism accomplishes this by promoting two things: clarity of mind and clarity of action. Stoicism and clarity of mind. The dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, believed that philosophy was more than just a theoretical subject to study. It was a way of life that should be practiced and applied to daily life. This practical approach made his teachings relevant to everyday situations, and many people still find value in reading his discourses or handbook. Epictetus also introduced the concept of the dichotomy of control, which distinguishes between things that are within our control, such as our thoughts, desires, and actions, and things that are not, such as external events, possessions, and other people's opinions. Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. Epictetus explains that in any given situation, there are things that are within your control, and there are things that you have no control over. When we begin to make this distinction for ourselves, two things start to become clear. When you try to control the things in life you have no control over, you become frustrated, bitter, angry, demotivated, deflated, etc. No amount of effort on your part will ever cause these things to change. They are not up to you. When you focus your energy on the things within your control, you not only avoid the negative emotions of trying to control the uncontrollable, you become far more effective. This is an important distinction to make in any given set of circumstances, because much of our suffering comes from either our lack of awareness or our inability to accept the things we can do nothing about. Accept the situation as it is, and leverage what is within your control to move forward. The alternative is to suffer in a situation because you focus your energy into things you can do nothing about, while putting no energy into the things within your power. This can apply to traffic, the economy, politics, the weather and natural disasters, people's opinions of you, pandemics, and many more. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power or our will. Acceptance. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Acceptance is a difficult topic for many people. The most common thing I hear when talking about acceptance is that people think it is the same as resignation or just giving up. It is not. In this context, acceptance is the ability to make the distinction between what is within our power to change and what is not. It is not defeatist to accept that there are things in life we can't change. it is simply a reasonable thing to do. For example, accepting that wrongdoing is part of reality isn't the same as accepting it as right. Acceptance isn't the same as sitting down and doing nothing. It's simply seeing the world for what it is, rather than suffering because it's not what we expect it to be. It's still our responsibility to do what we can with what we have. For many people, in various ways, that includes trying to make the world a better place for all. Perception. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Epictetus explains that much of our suffering comes from how we interpret and process our environment, rather than the environment itself. The mind is an amazing thing. Whenever we take in information, it is filtered through everything we know, everything we've experienced, and everything we believe. This filtering ultimately ends in our reaction or our response. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This can be good and bad. The conditions of our mind will determine our response, and for this reason, it is important that we take responsibility for these conditions and do what we can to improve them. For example, we can suffer when our expectations of people or the world are unreasonable or unrealistic. Eventually, these kinds of expectations will conflict with reality and we suffer. We can suffer because we put too much energy and focus on the things in life outside our control, and not enough on the things within our control, making us feel powerless and frustrated. We can suffer because we are unable to accept the world for what it is, and we resist it when it doesn't align with what we believe it should be. We even suffer prematurely because of how we think the future will unfold, when in reality things almost never happen the way we think they will. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The truth is that we will always be exposed to things that have the potential to cause offense, hardship, stress, adversity, and resistance. I don't believe that the secret to well-being lies in blaming the world or other people for our suffering and expecting all adversity to be taken away. I think well-being lies in taking personal responsibility for the things within our control and doing what we can to make them better. This includes the conditions of our mind. Of course, we should always be working together to better our communities, lessen injustice, and find more and more solutions to complex problems. But I believe all improvement should start with the self, and that is always our responsibility. After all, if a person is unable to solve the issues of their own life, they may well be unable to solve the complex problems of the world around them. Everything can be taken for a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Stoicism and clarity of action. 4 Stoic virtues. Stoicism not only helps us to frame how we think about the world, it can also help guide how we act in response to it. The 4 Stoic virtues are core to Stoic philosophy, and many Stoic believe that virtue is sufficient for happiness, and that negative emotions were a result of errors in judgment and an inability to align oneself with the nature of being a rational creature. For example, you may feel negative emotion towards the things around you because you cannot accept that they will act in accordance to their nature, rather than according to how you want them to act. The 4 Stoic virtues to govern action are wisdom, temperance, justice, courage. Wisdom is necessary to understand right from wrong and good from evil. Wisdom is our ability to see things for what they are, in context, rationally, and without bias. Only with wisdom can we see the world clearly. Without it, we will always be clouded by our own prejudice, emotion, values, and expectations. We will be unwilling to see things in context and with neutrality. Without wisdom-justice, temperance and courage become warped and muddied. It is the most important of the virtues. Broad and objective education, open-mindedness, and the ability to openly discuss ideas is core to the cultivation of wisdom. Temperance is our ability to moderate our behavior. Temperance is our discipline, our self-control and restraint. With temperance, we are able to do what we know we should do, rather than do what we feel like doing. Temperance is important for avoiding overeating, too much comfort, laziness, and promoting exercise, work, good habits, and pushing ourselves outside our comfort zone for growth. Courage is our ability to do what we believe to be right in the face of fear, anxiety, nerves and pressures that may otherwise prevent us from doing the right thing. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Justice is our ability to do what is right for the good of our community, to act fairly, desire fairness, and behave in the spirit of the whole, rather than the self or the few. We hope you found something useful